My name is Mila Donovan, and I'm 32 years old. If you'd asked me at the beginning of this year to describe my life, I would have said it was steady, not glamorous, not tragic, just solid in a way I'd earned. One client call, one paid invoice, one carefully planned grocery list at a time. I'm a freelance project coordinator for a couple of tech and marketing firms, which means my office is a desk in the corner of my living room, 3 monitors, color-coded calendars, and a mug that always smells faintly like burnt coffee. I know when every bill is due. I know what's in my savings without opening the banking app. I know how many months I could survive if everything suddenly caught fire. I like ballast, the unexciting, reliable weight that keeps your life from tipping over. For a long time, I thought my ballast included my boyfriend, Ryan Clark. Ryan works in sales for a pharmaceutical company, the kind of job where networking and travel sound sexier than they actually are. He wears good suits, has a nice smile, and talks about conversions and territories the way other people talk about sports. We'd been together for just over 2.5 years, long enough that our routines had grooves in them. His toothbrush in my bathroom, his hoodie on the back of my chair, his favorite cereal on my grocery list. Long enough that the question wasn't if we'd talk about moving in together permanently, but when. So when he told me about the work trip, it barely registered as anything unusual. "It's just a 3-day conference, for sake," he said one Tuesday night, scrolling through an email on his phone while I loaded the dishwasher. "Thursday to Saturday, out of state, but not far." "Another pharma thing?" I asked, nudging the drawer closed with my hip. He smiled. "Another pharma thing. Breakout sessions, panels, client schmoozing. You know the drill." I did know the drill. He'd gone on trips like this before. Come back tired and slightly smug from all the handshakes. "You'll survive 3 days without me?" he teased. "I'll have to," I said. "Someone has to keep your plants alive." He laughed, crossed the kitchen, and kissed my forehead. It felt normal, boring even, the kind of boring I'd built my life around on purpose. On Thursday morning, I drove him to the airport. The sky was still gray, that in-between color before the city wakes up properly. Ryan was in one of his fitted navy suits, tie undone around his neck, suitcase in the trunk. He talked the whole way there, about the keynote speaker, the hotel, the clients he hoped to bump into at the lobby bar. He sounded excited, but not in a way that raised flags, just work excited. "You'll call when you land?" I asked as we pulled up to departures. "Of course." He squeezed my hand, leaned over the center console to kiss me properly this time. "Be nice to yourself while I'm gone, okay? Order the good takeout." I always order the good takeout. "That's my girl," he said, and there was something soft in his voice that warmed me. "I'll text you when I'm at the hotel." I watched him wheel his suitcase through the sliding doors and disappear into the crowd. Then I merged back into traffic, turned the radio on, and mentally rearranged my next 3 days around working late and eating on the couch. He called around noon, just like he said he would. "Landed," he reported. "Background noise, airport announcements. Flight was fine, hotel's decent. I'm dropping my stuff. Then we've got a welcome mixer later." "Anyone you know there?" I asked, opening my laptop. "Yeah, a few people from sales, a couple from marketing. The usual suspects." The usual suspects. He'd used that phrase before about happy hours and client dinners. I pictured nameless, well-dressed coworkers with conference badges around their necks. "Don't get too wild," I said. He laughed. "You know me. I'll be asleep by 11. We hung up. The day slid by in a blur of emails and spreadsheets. Every so often, my phone buzzed. "Sessions are running long. Panel was fine, nothing new. Heading to dinner with the team, I'll call you later." It all felt textbook, exactly what he'd said it would be. Saturday afternoon, he texted again. "At the airport, flight on time. See you soon." I straightened up the apartment before heading out to pick him up. Washed the coffee cups, folded the throw blanket, made sure the place looked more welcome home than, "I've been living in your hoodie and eating noodles for 3 days." He came through the arrival gate rolling his suitcase, looking tired in a way that seemed honest. Shirt wrinkled, hair a little out of place. "Hey you," he said, dropping a quick kiss on my lips. "God, I'm wrecked." "You always are after these things." I took the handle of his suitcase without thinking. "How was it?" He shrugged as we walked toward the exit. "You know, panels, small talk, too much coffee. I'll tell you about it later. I just want a shower and real food." At home, we ordered Thai, put on a movie neither of us really watched, and he fell asleep with his head on my lap before the credits rolled. My hand slid through his hair automatically, muscle memory from 100 similar nights. If there was anything wrong, I couldn't see it yet. On Sunday, we ran errands together. Grocery store, dry cleaning, a quick stop at his place so he could swap out some clothes. He was quieter than usual, but when I asked if he was okay, he just said, "I'm beat. Conferences are draining." It made sense. It always made sense. It wasn't until Monday night that something finally didn't. He was in the shower, steam curling under the bathroom door, water thrumming through the pipes. I was sprawled on the couch with my laptop open, answering a late email when I ended up on social media as a reflex escape. Scroll. Engagement photos. Scroll. Vacation pictures. Scroll. Then a post from Ryan's company's official page slid onto the screen. They're pretty active. Employee spotlights, lab milestones, product launches. I skim their posts sometimes, mostly to see if Ryan shows up in a photo. The graphic was simple. A candid shot of people working in their open office, captioned in neat corporate speak. Quiet week at headquarters as we prep for next month's major conference. No teams traveling this week. Everyone's here, heads down, building what's next. I read it once, then again. Then a third time, the words blurring at the edges. No teams traveling this week. I stared at the date on the post. Friday. The same Friday, Ryan was supposedly sitting in some ballroom in another city, sipping bad coffee and pretending to care about trends in pharmaceutical sales. My heart did a weird, slow drop, like the first second of a roller coaster. Maybe they meant no lab teams traveled, I told myself. Or maybe it was scheduled, generic content. Maybe whoever runs the page just misfired the timing. There were explanations, rational ones, but my thumb moved on its own, tapping the screenshot button. The artificial shutter sound felt too loud in the quiet apartment. The screenshot sat in my photos, the office picture, the caption, the date, proof of something. I just didn't know what yet. Water shut off in the bathroom. A second later, I heard the shower curtain move, the soft thud of his feet on the bath mat. I locked my phone without thinking and set it face down on the couch, like I'd just hidden a secret of my own. "Hey," he called, voice muffled as he toweled off. "You okay out there?" "Yeah," I said, and my voice sounded almost normal. "Just work stuff." He came out a minute later in joggers and a t-shirt, towel slung around his neck, damp hair pushed back. He glanced at me, then at the phone beside my leg. "Everything okay with clients?" I closed my laptop. Same old. He sat down, scrolled through his own phone for a while, then flipped off his lamp and lay back. "I'm wiped," he murmured. "Wake me if I stop breathing." I laughed because that's what I always did when he said that. I turned off the TV, lay down next to him, and stared into the darkness. "No teams traveling this week." The sentence echoed behind my eyes, rhythmic as a heartbeat. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I'd wake up tomorrow, ask him about it, and he'd give me some boring explanation that would make me feel silly for even thinking this way. But as I lay there, listening to the steady sound of his breathing, I felt something I didn't want to name yet. A small, cold crack running through the center of the life I'd thought was solid. I told myself I wouldn't jump to conclusions. I also told myself that if there was one more thing, just one, that didn't add up, I wouldn't ignore it. Not this time. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I drifted off, my brain snapped awake again, replaying the same sentence from that company post. By morning, I'd made myself a promise. I wasn't going to accuse him of anything. I wasn't going to show him the screenshot. I just needed clarity, a calm, neutral conversation. If there was nothing to worry about, he'd tell me something that made sense. If there was something to worry about, well, I'd know soon enough. I waited until breakfast. Ryan was making coffee, leaning against the counter in that half-distracted way he always did in the mornings, phone in hand, glasses sliding down his nose, scrolling through emails before the caffeine even hit his bloodstream. "Hey," I said, keeping my tone light. "How was the conference last week? You never told me much about it." He didn't look up. Oh, same old, long days, lots of talking, nothing earth-shattering." "What kind of sessions did you go to?" He paused, just for a flicker of a second. If I hadn't been watching, I might have missed it. "Oh, breakouts, networking panels, nothing super memorable." I nodded. "Who went with you? Anyone from your team?" Another small pause. He stirred his coffee, even though he drinks it black. "Yeah, a few people. The usual." "The usual who?" I pressed gently. He shrugged. "Just people. A couple from sales, some from marketing." He still wasn't looking at me. "Must have been nice," I said, "getting out of the office with everyone." "Yeah." He handed me a mug. "Anyway, I gotta get ready." He kissed my cheek like punctuation and walked out of the kitchen. I stood there with the mug in my hands, watching the steam curl upward, trying to swallow the feeling that his answers weren't answers at all. By noon, curiosity had mutated into a knot in my stomach. After he left for work, I checked his company's social media again. The most recent posts were from Monday and Tuesday. Team lunch, a birthday celebration at headquarters, a goofy photo of the marketing team crowded around a whiteboard. I recognized a few faces. I'd seen them at office events before, and there, in the lunch photo from Monday, was Ryan. Back at the office, smiling at something off camera, wearing the outfit he'd worn when I picked him up Saturday night. He was definitely back by Monday at 12:30 p.m., which meant the timeline checked out, which meant nothing, and somehow everything. I sat back on the couch, staring at the screen, my heart rate doing somersaults. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe the social media post really was a generic, auto-posted thing that didn't reflect reality. Maybe everything was fine. Maybe. That maybe lasted exactly 4 hours. At 2:14 p.m., I got a message request on social media. The profile picture was a generic landscape photo. The name didn't ring a bell. "Hi, I know this is random, but I work with your boyfriend. We need to talk. Can I call you?" My blood went cold. I stared at the message long enough that my phone dimmed. I tapped the screen again, reread it, and typed, "Who is this?" The reply came instantly. "I'm a coworker. I can't say much over message. Please, can I call you? It's important." My hands were suddenly clammy. My heart crawled into my throat. This was too much. Too pointed. Too specific. I typed my number without letting myself think about it. 30 seconds later, my phone rang. I almost didn't answer. But I did. "Hello?" A woman's voice, mid-30s maybe, nervous. "Hi, thank you for picking up. I'm sorry to reach out like this. I've been debating it for days, but I can't stay quiet anymore." My pulse hammered. "Who are you?" I whispered. "I work in the same department as Ryan. We've met briefly at a couple events. You seemed nice. You didn't deserve to be lied to like this." A cold wave rolled through me. "What are you talking about?" She inhaled sharply. "That trip he told you about, the conference last week?" There was no conference. The company didn't send anyone anywhere. Nobody traveled. Not sales, not marketing. No one. I gripped the edge of my couch. "But he called me from the airport. He sent updates. He wasn't on a work trip," she said softly. "He went away with someone, another employee. They've been involved for a while now." My mouth went dry. "Who?" My voice cracked. "Who did he go with?" Silence, a hesitant breath. "She's in his department, and look, I hate saying this, but she's his ex-girlfriend." I felt the room tilt. "His ex?" "Yes. They got close again a few months ago. At first, people thought they were just catching up, but it's been more than that. I heard them talking. They planned that trip. They joked about the cover story. He said you wouldn't suspect a thing." I pressed a hand to my forehead, squeezing my eyes shut. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because it's wrong," she whispered. "Because you didn't deserve to be played like this, and because someone should tell you the truth if he won't." My throat burned. Thank you," I managed. I need to think." "I know," she said. "I'm really sorry. If you need proof, I can get more. Just let me know." She hung up. I sat there in total silence, phone still in my hand, staring at the wall like it might blink and tell me this was a nightmare. It didn't. Hours later, after pacing, after crying, after talking myself in and out of denial, I finally stood up, went into the bedroom, and opened Ryan's closet. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I just needed something real, something undeniable. It didn't take long. In the back corner, behind a stack of shoeboxes, was a gift bag. Inside was a man's watch, sleek, expensive, unmistakably not for me. Under it, a small card, for my favorite travel companion. Until next time. No signature. Didn't need one. I took pictures of everything, every angle, every detail. My hands shook so badly the first few were blurry. Then I put it all back exactly where it had been. I walked out of the apartment, got in my car, and drove to a cafe across town where no one knew me. I sat in the corner booth with a cup of coffee I didn't drink and stared at the photos. The screenshots, the call log, the card, the truth. I wasn't imagining things. This wasn't an innocent misunderstanding. This was a lie I had been living inside without knowing it. A lie he had built carefully, confidently, easily. My phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. "Want to grab dinner tonight? Maybe that place you like downtown." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "Sure, 7 is perfect." I didn't add "love you." He didn't notice. By the time Ryan knocked on my door that evening, I had rehearsed 30 different versions of the conversation in my mind. In none of them did I scream. In none of them did I throw anything, In none of them did I break down or beg or crumble. I didn't want him to see me fracture. I wanted him to reveal himself. He walked in wearing one of his fitted button-downs, sleeves rolled up, smelling like cedar and the cologne I'd given him last Christmas. He looked relaxed, charming, confident, like someone whose world was intact. "Ready?" he asked with that easy smile I once loved without hesitation. "Yeah," I said, grabbing my coat. At dinner, he was in a strangely upbeat mood. He talked about work, new accounts, client meetings, someone in the office who microwaved fish again. I listened, nodded, ate my pasta without tasting it. I felt like an undercover version of myself. At one point, he reached for my hand across the table. "You've been a little quiet lately," he said softly. "Everything okay?" This was my chance. But the urge to wait, to let him build his lie just a little higher, won out. "I'm fine," I said, "just tired." "You've been working too much," he said, squeezing my hand. "We should plan a trip, just the two of us. Get away next month." I almost laughed. The irony hit me like a wave. He was offering me the same fantasy escape he'd taken with someone else. "Maybe," I said quietly. After dinner, the drive home was silent. He held my hand on the center console. I didn't pull away, but I felt nothing. Not love, not hate, just numbness. At home, he showered first. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone, waiting for the right moment. When he came out, towel around his waist, hair damp, I finally spoke. "Ryan?" "Yeah," he said, rummaging in the dresser. "I saw a post from your company, the one from Friday." He froze, just a small hesitation, but I felt it. "Oh." He kept his back to me. "It said no teams traveled last week, that everyone was in the office." He turned, forcing an easy smile. "Ah, yeah, that. That was probably generic content or meant for another department. You know how social media teams are. But it said no one traveled, pretty clearly." He shrugged. "Probably just a mistake." "Okay," I said. "So who went with you? Which coworkers?" He shut a drawer with a little too much force. "Why are you interrogating me?" he snapped. "I'm not." My voice stayed calm. "I'm asking questions." "There's a difference, barely," he muttered. "Mila, seriously, stop. It was a work trip. Nothing else." "Okay," I said quietly. He huffed, irritated. "Can we drop this? You're blowing something tiny way out of proportion." I said okay, I repeated. And that was it. He didn't ask again. He didn't reassure me. He didn't wonder why I'd suddenly gone quiet. He just climbed into bed, turned off the light, and fell asleep. Or pretended to. I lay there staring at the ceiling for a long time, counting the seconds between his breaths. He was committed to the lie. Committed enough to get annoyed when I asked basic questions. Committed enough not to look at me while he lied. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from the coworker. "Did you talk to him?" "Sort of," I typed back. "He's still lying." There was a long pause. Then, "Do you need proof? I can get photos, screenshots, whatever you want." I stared at the message. Part of me wanted to say yes. But something colder, clearer, steadier inside me whispered, "Not yet. No." I wrote, "I have what I need." I didn't know yet if that was true. But I needed the truth to come from him, in real time, without me cornering him. I wanted to see what he chose when he thought I wasn't looking. The next morning, Sunday, I told him I was driving across town to visit a friend. "You'll be gone all day?" he asked casually, like it didn't matter. "Probably." "Cool," he said, kissing my cheek. "I should get some work done anyway." He didn't ask which friend. He didn't ask why. He didn't ask anything. I left at 10 a.m., but I didn't drive to any friend's house. Instead, I parked under a cluster of trees in a nearby park and sat quietly in my car, staring at the dashboard. At 11:17, my phone buzzed. A text from the coworker. "He's at your apartment. I just saw him go in. She's with him. I live in the same complex, 2 buildings over. I'm really sorry." I didn't move right away. I thought I'd cry. I thought I'd break. But I didn't. I felt oddly calm, like I'd slipped underwater and everything above the surface was someone else's noise. Then I started the engine. It took me 27 minutes to get home. I parked on the street instead of in my spot. My hands were steady as I walked up the stairs. The key slid into the lock without a sound. The living room was empty. Blankets still neat, shoes still by the door, everything clean, silent. But I could hear voices down the hallway. His voice, a woman's voice, quiet laughter. I walked slowly toward the bedroom, every step a countdown. The door was slightly ajar. Through the gap, I saw them sitting on my bed, fully clothed, but close, too close. His arm around her shoulders, her head resting on him as she showed him something on her phone. "I can't believe she actually bought the conference story," she giggled. "I told you," Ryan said. "Mila's too trusting, makes it easy." She laughed again. We shouldn't be here. It's risky. She's gone for hours, he said. Relax. The world went silent. Then I pushed the door open. They both jumped like I'd fired a gun. Don't stop on my account, I said softly. This is fascinating. For a moment, no one moved. Ryan froze with his arms still halfway around her, like his body hadn't gotten the message his brain was screaming. The woman, his ex, scrambled away from him, nearly dropping her phone on the floor. Mila, Ryan stammered, his face draining of color. This isn't... Don't, I said quietly. Please don't insult me with whatever story you're about to invent. He opened his mouth again, and I watched his eyes dart quickly. Door, window, her, me, like he was calculating the fastest route out of the truth. She stood up too quickly, nearly tripping. You didn't what? I asked, tilting my head. You didn't mean to come into my home? Sit on my bed? Rehearse your lies together? She swallowed hard. I'm sorry. Good, I said. Then you can both walk out of here knowing that at least one part of this is honest. Ryan finally found his voice. Mila, please just listen. I have listened, I said. For days. I listened to your fake airport calls, your vague text, your irritated little sighs when I asked normal questions. I listened to your coworker tell me you planned the whole thing together. He stiffened. My coworker, he echoed sharply. Yeah, I said. Turns out not everyone is willing to help you maintain your little fantasy. His jaw tightened. Who? It doesn't matter, I said. What matters is that she told me the truth before you ever considered it. The other woman flinched. Ryan... He shot her a warning look. She shrank back. I couldn't help a bitter laugh. Wow, still controlling the narrative, even now. Mila, please, he tried again. Let me explain. Okay, I said. Explain why you took a fake work trip. Explain why you lied for months. Explain why you were in my bed talking about how easy I am to fool. He said nothing. The silence was answer enough. How long? I asked. Ryan's shoulders sagged. 2 months, yeah, he muttered. Maybe 3. I nodded. And the trip? He closed his eyes. It was with her. Her chin trembled, tears forming. I didn't care enough to look at her. And the watch? I asked. His eyes snapped open. What watch? The one hidden in the closet, the one with the card, for my favorite travel companion. Until next time. The other woman sucked in a breath. She had obviously forgotten the card existed, or hoped I'd never find it. Ryan went pale. You went through my things? He said hoarsely. I stared at him. You cheated, I said softly, for months. And you're worried I looked in your closet? He deflated like a punctured balloon. I straightened my posture and my voice changed. Calmer, colder, steadier. I want you out today. Mila. I want you out, I repeated. Pack your things. Stay with her. Stay with anyone. I don't care where you go. You're not staying here. The ex took a small step forward. Please don't be angry at him. It wasn't all... I held up a hand. No, I said. No more talking, from either of you. Ryan looked like he wanted to argue, but the look in my eyes must have warned him. He nodded slowly, defeated. I'll pack my stuff, he whispered. Good. I stepped aside and watched them both walk out of the room. He grabbed a duffel bag. She followed, eyes red. They moved around the apartment, gathering his things while I stood in the hallway, arms crossed, not bothering to hide the disgust on my face. He tried one more time before leaving. I never meant... Don't, I said, just go. And he went. The door shut behind them with a quiet click. It was the softest, smallest sound, but it cracked open something huge inside me. Ryan tried calling twice in the first week. Then he switched to long texts, novels about regret, mistakes, wanting to fix things. I blocked him after the 3rd attempt. He didn't stop lying, though. Mutual friends told me he'd been saying I was controlling, that I drove him away, that the cheating was a mistake caused by my rigidity. People who knew me didn't believe him for a second. People who didn't, well, their opinions were never my problem. As for his ex, she apparently dumped him as soon as the fun evaporated. The coworker told me she found out he'd been talking to another girl at the office too. He burned his life until there was nothing left to hide behind. Karma didn't forget him either. He didn't get fired, but his performance tanked. Rumor had it his boss was watching closely. I didn't care enough to confirm. I started hitting the gym again, started going to a kickboxing class twice a week. It turns out punching things is wildly therapeutic when you don't want to punch your past. I also started grabbing coffee with the coworker who told me the truth. Her name was Dana. She wasn't dramatic, or nosy, or messy. She was quiet and honest, and very, very tired of the office rumors. We became friends. Not replacements, not crutches, just two women trying to navigate the aftermath of other people's poor choices. Ryan stopped trying to reach me. But not before his last attempt, showing up at my building unannounced. He didn't get far. The doorman called me first. "Ms. Donovan, your guest is downstairs. Should I send him up?" "No," I said without hesitation. "Tell him I'm not accepting visitors." He left a letter with the doorman. I didn't read it. I dropped it straight into the trash. The apartment feels different, smaller, but lighter. I replaced the bedding, got rid of the lamp he loved, repainted the bedroom, a soft slate blue that felt like calm instead of compromise. I bought new frame prints for the hallway, rearranged the living room, opened the windows more. It feels like my space again, my life again. And the watch, I sold it online. Used the money to book a solo trip to the coast next month, something I'd always wanted to do, but never thought to prioritize. Sun, sand, water, no lies. Just me. I'm not swearing off dating. In fact, I've been seeing someone new for a couple of weeks now, a man named Caleb, someone straightforward and unpretentious. No mind games. No late-night secretiveness. He shows up when he says he will, listens when I talk, laughs at my terrible jokes. I'm not in love, not rushing, just letting things be. Someone asked me recently if I trust people less now. The truth? Not really. What Ryan did says everything about him, and nothing about the rest of the world. I'm 32, single, sort of dating, and figuring out what comes next. It's not the life I expected at the beginning of the year. It's better because it's honest, because it's mine, and because I finally understand that losing someone who lies to you is never a loss. It's freedom.